What's up, guys? It is Beer 30, so you know what that means. It is time to answer some hydraulic questions. And today I have one where Jose reached out to me and he said, I've got a dumping problem. And I was like, what's your dumping problem? He says, I lift the vehicle and overnight it is on the ground. All right. Well, what seems to be the problem aside from that? And he says, I've already changed out the check valves. And I'm like, that's a good place to start. And he says, but it's still dumping. It's still dumping. Okay, well. So he says, my friend says that I should replace the dump. And I was like, why replace the entire dump? Are you going to try and figure out what's going on with the dump, or are you just going to replace the whole thing? Because, yeah, if you replace the entire dump, that's probably what it is at this point, since you've already pretty much replaced the check valve. But like I always do, I always, start fresh. I don't care what somebody else has told you, or I don't care what you've diagnosed. We need to start from the beginning and work our way forward, because the truth is, it doesn't really matter what you've done. We need to check everything off one by one. All right, so here's what we did. First, I told him, lift it up, and then I want you to close your slowdown. He said, what's the slowdown? Like, okay, well, I've got my work cut out for me on this one. The slowdown is the little thing, the little dial that you close all the way. Go ahead and close that all the way. So he closed it all the way. He went out there the next morning, car hadn't dropped. Okay, so now we have eliminated the check valve altogether. Well, so now we've narrowed it down to it's got to be a dump issue. And if you replace the dump, yeah, it'll definitely, at least it should, replace that problem or fix that problem. With that said, so we then decided to look into things a little bit deeper. I was like, okay, so here's what I want you to do. We need to see if you've got any seals that are bad within your dump cartridge, because the truth is dump cartridge seals are super cheap. They're basically O-rings. That's really all it boils down to. So he took the dump cartridge out, looked at the dump cartridge. The seals on the inside looked fine. Okay. Well, so the next problem I wanted to find out was maybe there's some debris stuck in the dump cartridge, keeping it to stay open to let a small amount of fluid go through. So I had him take the dump cartridge out. He had it sitting right there and basically took a screwdriver and pushed in on the dump seal cartridge pin, whatever you want to call it. And as it was pushed in, I told him to look inside the little bitty holes. And sure enough, there was a little piece of metal just kind of lodged in the way. And it happens. It's from, the pump head seal, or excuse me, it's from the pump head most likely. Anyway, so I said, push on that, and then I want you to use something and get that little piece of metal out. Got that little piece of metal out, and then it was pretty much fine. So then he reinstalled the dump cartridge back into the dump, and then hit the switch several times, and guess what? Lo and behold, it stopped dumping. So at this point, my advice was to, obviously that was, your issue. It didn't cost you a dime to fix the problem. You just had a little piece of metal stuck in the dump cartridge, causing it to stay open, so it was slowly dumping back into the tank. So my suggestion at this point was to take your pumps out just real quick and flush out all the old fluid. And the reason I say that is because in the tank there was a lot of little metal shavings, and that was going to continue to most likely happen and get stuck in his dump cartridge and causing it to dump evenly or dump consistently. Anyway, so he flushed it out, wiped it out, switched out the fluid and everything, and to my knowledge he has not had a problem since. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and you can see the very next video that we're going to post about these hydraulic problems and answers.